What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. We are coming off of one hell of a wild card weekend in the NFL. At least the first four games were crazy. They were great. The fifth game involved my team beating the LA Chargers, the Patriots' first playoff win in quite some time. So that was exciting for me. And then the Monday Night Football game was just objectively not fun to watch unless you are a fan of the Houston Texans. So those first four games, though, just as like a objective football fan, were awesome. There was something like 13 lead changes in the fourth quarter of those four games. And the team that was losing at the 2-minute warning won the first three games, and actually almost happened in the Philly game as well. But the Eagles couldn't quite get that done. So awesome weekend overall. I think we're in for another really good week. We're going to bring Matt in just a moment to break down the four games for the NFL Divisional Round. We'll go over the matchups, go in a little bit more depth this week since there's less games to break down, and then we'll give you guys picks at the end. Before we get started, I was going to do a big Red Sox rant on this podcast because yet again, they've let another big free agent signing slip through their fingers as Alex Bregman signs with the Cubs over the weekend. But honestly, guys, I don't have the time or the energy to complain about John Henry anymore. I think anybody with a set of eyes can see what is going on with this team. I've said it over and over and over and over again on this podcast that the Red Sox ownership does not care about the fans. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They think that all of us are stupid enough to just continue blindly supporting this team and spending money on it, even though they refuse to still. And like at this point, there was a report today that says that they're going to aggressively pursue Bo Bichette, the shortstop / second baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's just such a fucking joke at this point. It's been years of management and ownership coming out at the beginning of the offseason and being like, we're going pedal to the metal, that we're going all in this offseason. It's a big splash. It's like a new catchphrase every single year. It's like, yeah, big splash 2025. Oh, pedal to the metal 2026. We're definitely going to make some awesome trades and some signings and blah, blah, blah. And they just do not do anything. They traded for Wilson Contreras, the first baseman from the Cardinals, who's going to be like a platoon guy with Tristan Cassius. And like, that's it. That's their big acquisition of this offseason after making the playoffs and being like, we have all this money. It's time to spend. It's time to go all in. We got this young core of awesome guys and Garrett Crochet, who's a Cy Young caliber pitcher. And they're just not going to do anything again for the third year in a row. And I don't know how detached billionaires are from reality, where John Henry is like crying poor, even though he has a net worth like well in the billions. I think it's extremely obvious that Fenway Sports Group is just saving their money for a different acquisition, whether that's an NBA team in Vegas with LeBron James after he retires or another soccer team in England. But whatever they're saving their money for, it is sure as hell not the Boston Red Sox. So I'm done talking about them on this podcast until they either sell the team or put their money where their mouth is. I'm going to be a diehard Red Sox fan until the day I die, but probably going to be another season of just like watching from afar this season, where like I'll check the scores the morning after the games, but like I'm not paying to watch them this year. I'm not going to pay for the MLB network so that I can watch the Boston Red Sox. I'm not willing to spend money on this team because the guys who own the team are not willing to spend money on it either. I just think the ultimate irony is they trade Rafael Devers during the season and save $310 million over the course of however many years it is. And they say, we're going to invest that money back in the team. This is a good trade. Like, they didn't get anything back for him, basically, because they wanted the Giants to eat his entire contract. And they promised the fans who were pissed about the Devers trade that they would invest that money back in the team. And they have not spent a single dime of that money on this team. And don't let them tell you they did. The Crochet extension was done before then. Roman Anthony, they got him nice and cheap, which is awesome. That's great. I'm all for that. But they saved all this money and they're just going to put it right into their pockets so that they can partner with LeBron James and open up whatever stupid NBA expansion is going to go into Vegas. And the Red Sox fans are the ones that are going to have to suffer. So we're done. with talking about them on this podcast. No more rants at the beginning, no more time, no more effort spent on the Red Sox until they either sell the team or put their goddamn money where their mouth is. And I don't think either of those things is happening for a long time. So with that said, we are going to go grab Matt. We're going to bring him in. Before we get started, just a reminder, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast or watching us on YouTube or however you're supporting the podcast. Thank you guys so much. If you want to reach out to me and talk hockey, basketball, baseball, you guys got football questions, send them to us. We'll read them on the podcast. Really enjoy having those conversations with you guys offline. And as always, we really appreciate your support. That said, let's talk about something fun. My team is in the second round of the playoffs. There's some great games this weekend. So let's grab Matt and let's talk NFL football. Let's go. All right, Matt is here, ready to discuss NFL Divisional Round weekend. I never get it right. Round 2 of the NFL playoffs. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. To any Lions fans out there who had any qualms about who they were rooting for last week, are you a Lions fan?
Were they debating between the Bears and the Packers?
There were actual supposed Lions fans who were like in between whether or not to root for the Bears or the Packers.
Yeah. I saw that with the Red Sox last year too. So like the Yankees eliminated the Red Sox from the playoffs and went on to play the Blue Jays. And there were people on like Reddit who were like, I really don't like the Blue Jays. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. It's the New York Yankees. It's the Green Bay Packers. Of course you root against them. There's no, yeah, I know it's the Packers, but I don't really like the Bears either. Like, yeah, no, you don't like the Bears, but it's the Packers. It's the team that you hate the most.
Yeah. So. We can get to hating on the Bears next week, but first and foremost, fuck the Packers.
Yeah, that was always the saying with the Red Sox was my two favorite teams are the Red Sox and whoever's playing the Yankees. And it's funny that we started the podcast with me talking about the Red Sox because I just did the opening about how I wasn't going to talk about the Red Sox anymore on this podcast because I'm done letting them hurt me. You know who didn't hurt me this past weekend, Matt? My football team, the New England Patriots, who got their first playoff win since, 2019 when we won the Super Bowl over the Rams. So it's been 7 years since we last won a playoff game.
What a drought.
I know. Everybody feel bad for the Patriots fan. There's 7-year-olds in New England who have never watched their favorite team win a Super Bowl. You gotta really let those 7-year-olds suffer for many more years.
Yes.
But you know what was funny about us? The funny thing about us beating the Chargers is, and don't get me wrong, like I'm happy we won, but I felt more relieved than anything when we won because I made the case on this podcast last week that if we lost that game to the Chargers, I basically had to quit podcasting. After all of the times that we've said Chargers going to charge on this podcast and all of the shit I've talked about Justin Herbert, I was like, this is like set up for cosmic karma to come my way. And you know what happened instead, Matt? We were completely 100% unequivocally correct about Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers. And I watched them charge for 3 beautiful hours on Sunday night in a game that, like, even though it was tight for a long time, I never felt like the LA Chargers were going to do anything. I was never worried about Justin Herbert and the Chargers for a single minute of that.
No, I mean, I want to give a little bit of grace to Justin Herbert because neither his starting tackles played. He was missing a starting guard. And mind you, the man calling his plays is still Greg Roman, or was until I think like yesterday or earlier today.
Probably the biggest disadvantage of them, if we're being honest. Like, he could have no offensive line. If he had a different offensive coordinator, they probably would have got better results.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a video on Reddit floating around, and it was like, I forget how many games it was, but it was like Greg Roman had Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson as his quarterbacks for however many playoff games. And the results are not good. Honestly, it got to the point on Sunday where I just kind of felt bad for Justin. It's just they had absolutely no adjustment to the Patriots' pressure. We'll talk about the Pats a little bit more later in this podcast because we are playing another game this weekend, but just wanted to follow up on that from last week because it was one of the last things we talked about where I was like, this is like set up for me to be punished. But it turns out, there are really no LA fans. So they're, who's mad at me? What am I getting punished for? Just being honest and telling the truth. Right. So
it's the thing is like, if you're not talking about the Lakers, like nobody cares. There's better stuff to do in LA than get upset about the not number one sports team in the city. Like,
yeah, the Chargers are where do they rank on the hierarchy of LA sports? Like they're behind the Lakers, they're behind the Dodgers, they're behind the Rams for sure. And then you're getting into like LA Kings, hockey, the Clippers, the Chargers, like, they're all probably in like the separate tier of like nobody really cares. Which is why they need to I don't know. It's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but they never should have moved them.
No, I think.
But honestly,
San Diego was the right call. But
like the history in San Diego is pretty much what led to Chargers going to charge in the first place.
That is true.
So this team needs a full like rebrand and an exorcism. It's just because God, it's like they came into the league or they came into the season with the best offensive line in the entire league. This season. And then to go from that to what I watched on Sunday night is a feat that so few teams could accomplish in the NFL. It's like them and the Vikings and maybe your team and a couple other just absolutely cursed franchises. But let's talk about divisional weekend. We got 4 games to go over. We just had a hell of a weekend of football. I was talking about that in the opening, that the first 4 games from this past weekend were absolutely phenomenal. Just objectively fun football games to watch. I think we're in for a couple of good football games this weekend. There's one that I'm not super excited to watch, which we'll go over. But our first game for NFL divisional weekend is the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos. 4:30 on Saturday. The Denver Broncos now favored by 1.5. Which is kind of funny because I text you as soon as the lines came out and I was like, dude, the Bills are favored by 1.5 in Denver, which was kind of amazing, but it's flipped already. Basically it was like 1 or 2 days or something like that since the matchup was finalized. And it's flipped in that time already to Denver minus 1.5. Matt, I know you're still up in the air on your AFC picks. You're going to make them live on the podcast. I have made mine. So why don't we start with what has you so torn on Bills Broncos?
I mean, let's start with what is the pitch for the Bills? It is Josh Allen, right? Like that is the start and the end of the pitch for the Bills.
Sometimes you just have Josh Allen.
Yeah. And like that's nothing against James Cook or the running game that they have, but like honestly, we even just saw this past week that like it's not impossible to get them out of that. I know that there is another defense in this playoff that we have been singing the praises of, but this Denver Broncos defense deserves almost as much praise as that one as well. Right? Like they are not a fun defense to go up against. And I still have the memories of that game against Houston earlier this season for the Bills stuck in my head. And I mean, I want to say the Broncos have the fastest rate of getting to the quarterback in the NFL, if I remember those standings correctly this year. Like they get to the quarterback often and they get there fast. And Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen, right? He's going to make some of those into something. But we saw in that game against Houston that if you can overwhelm Buffalo's offensive line, you can totally take them out of their game plan. And at that point, you're talking about Josh Allen alone versus a team. Because like I'm still not confident in their defense. You gave up a bunch of points to a quarterback that I very much do not think is good. So
yeah. Well, speaking of, I have to take this opportunity to say thank you for putting me on the straight and narrow and making sure I did not pick the Jags to beat the Buffalo Bills. But like both teams have an opportunity to win the game, basically the Bills and Jags game. So Josh Allen drives down 2 times in the fourth quarter and scores touchdowns, including like the go-ahead touchdown with 1 minute left. And then Trevor Lawrence gets the ball back. It's 27-24. Jags start on like the 30 and basically only have to get to the 50 because they have a kicker who can hit from 70 in Cam Little. And so they had to gain like basically 20 yards to get a game time field goal. And I have never felt like something was going to happen less than Trevor Lawrence gaining those 20 yards on Sunday, where like I watched them line up and I was like, God, how many quarterbacks would I rather have the ball in their hands right now than Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
And sure enough, first play of the drive, Trevor Lawrence straight into double coverage, interception, game over. And I was like, yeah, this is where the phrase sometimes you just have, in this case, is Josh Allen, comes from, is that when the game is on the line, the quarterback, and I know people will be like, oh, it's not quarterback versus quarterback out there. When the game is on the line, you have either Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence. And you saw the results.
Yeah. I like go back to that playoff game where no defense got any stops between the Chiefs and the Bills. And it was just touchdown after touchdown for Mahomes and Josh Allen. And tell Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes that it wasn't quarterback versus quarterback. Because they damn well knew that they were facing off against each other.
Well, the thing is, like, when you're in a game like that, you basically have to have a quarterback. Like, if the other team has Patrick Mahomes, you basically have to have a quarterback of that caliber in order to compete, because he's going to score every possession. So you need a guy who can go do the same thing. In that game on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, like, we talked about how the game is basically going to come down to the Buffalo Bills have the number 1 rush offense in the league. The Jags have the number 1 rush defense. If the Jags can stop the run, they can win this game. The Jags did stop the run.
Yeah.
Buffalo only ran for 79 yards on quite a few attempts between Josh Allen and James Cook. The problem ended up being that Josh Allen was able to throw for 273 on that defense. Jacksonville, who was ranked 21st against the pass. This weekend, the issue we run into is the Buffalo Bills are now playing the number 2 run defense in the NFL in the Denver Broncos. So you would look at that and say, like, okay, well, they're probably not going to be able to run the ball again, not super effectively. It didn't work last week. They'll have to throw. But the problem for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills is that last week you had Jacksonville, who was 21st against the pass. This week you have Denver, who is 7th against the pass. Like, they are good both by land and by sea.
Yeah.
So,
and
that's
like that 7th rating is also with Patrick Surtain missing several games.
Yeah.
They could easily be higher.
All that said, though, yes, the Denver Broncos are an intimidating matchup for the Buffalo Bills offense, especially now that Gabe Davis and what's his name, Shavers, the other wide receiver, have both torn their ACL. The Buffalo basically has 3 receivers on their roster who are healthy.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. However, why wouldn't we just say sometimes you have Josh Allen again? Because you do have Josh Allen on one side And on the other side of this game is Blow Dicks. We just watched this game last year in the playoffs. I think people forget this is that Bo Nix first playoff game was in Buffalo last year. The final score of that game was 31-7 Bills. The Bills ran absolutely wild on the Denver Broncos last year. 44 attempts for 210 yards. Josh Allen goes 20 of 26 for 272 and 2 touchdowns. They had a field day.
I will say, I think that Bills team was much better than this version of this Bills team.
So this was my question for you. I was setting this up is like, it was a massive gap last year.
Oh yeah.
Buffalo was way better than Denver. They destroyed them. Bo Nix was bad. He was 13 of 22 for 144 yards and like threw a touchdown in the fourth quarter to make it look better than it was, which like 31-7 still looks like shit. Has the gap closed enough for Denver to like not only be closer but win this game? And then does going from Buffalo to Denver as the venue, like, does that change things? Like, a combination of those two forces, because I think we have to acknowledge, like, the Bills are worse and Denver is better than they were last year.
Yeah.
This is now a home game for the Broncos in a stadium that is notoriously difficult.
Yeah.
For, like, trust me, as someone who watched Tom Brady's entire career, you don't want to have to go to Denver to win a playoff game.
No.
It's not fun at all. But is the combination of those two factors enough for us to say that Denver can win this football game with Blow Dicks as their quarterback?
I think it's clear that they can. I don't think it's clear that they will. Because with all of what I've said about the matchup, right, with the defense and the weakening of this Bills roster and really not loving what I've seen out of the Bills defense all year long. This is also a Broncos offense that has continually just kind of thrown duds out there and like made games that didn't need to be close, lose games that they had no business losing. Like, granted, they didn't lose very many games, but like that when they did, it was kind of like, what the hell happened there?
They had some games they won too that, like, they beat the Raiders 10-7.
Yeah.
This year, they beat the Commanders with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback 27-26 because the Commanders went for 2 on what could have been the game-tying touchdown. They beat the Jets 13-11.
Yeah.
They beat the Giants 33-32. Like, the list goes on. It's not just the losses.
No, they've just had like so many games that are like the outcome is inexplicable, or how they got to the outcome was inexplicable, and it makes it hard to be like, oh yeah, like this team is gonna step up in this moment and like really stake their claim as the number 1 seed and like the favorites go to the Super Bowl, right? Like that they haven't shown us that. It truly is like the weirdest year of number 1 seeds. Like,
you really can't trust either of them. We're going to talk about the other one next, but like I'm going to give away my pick in this game by asking you this question, but I know you're still on the fence, and I just want to ask you, how are you going to feel on Sunday when it's like a 3 or 4 point game and Bo Nix has to go score a touchdown?
Yeah.
Like, that was ultimately what flipped me from picking the Jags, is when we were talking about it last week. You're like, how are you going to feel when Trevor Lawrence has to make a play?
Yeah.
And I was like, I am going to feel like absolute shit.
I do hope that like
feel the same way with Bo Nix.
Watching him this past weekend, you saw what I was saying about him earlier this year. Like, the dude just doesn't know what he's looking at.
It was really funny because there was a lot of podcast leading up to like, and I mean like high level, like lots of listener sports podcasts where people were like, the Jacksonville Jags are going to the Super Bowl. And like, they're like, this is the team everybody's sleeping on. And I'm like, no one's sleeping on the Jags because you're all picking them. And it's funny because and this was after we recorded last week. I was listening to all these podcasts and I was like, how fucking stupid do these people sound picking Trevor Lawrence to beat Josh Allen? And I was like, that was almost me, if not for Matt's intervention. So
yeah, honestly,
I'm going to try to help you here. Please don't pick Bo Nix to beat Josh Allen this weekend. Don't do it.
All the credit in the world to Liam Cohen for what he's pulled off this year with Trevor Lawrence as his trigger man. It would be hypocritical of me to go against the philosophy here. So I'm picking Josh Allen. I'm not picking the Bills. So
yeah, I'm on the same page where I'm like, God, if it was any other quarterback in the league, almost, I would just be like, if it was like Lamar Jackson, I would probably just be like, yeah, you could pick the Broncos. I'm or Joe Burrow or like someone else.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to just be picking on Lamar, but Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league right now. Right. And he just delivered at a huge spot. Mm-hmm. I'm picking Buffalo to beat Denver.
As much as I don't love about this Bills team, and like, who knows how much they're going to actually accomplish in these playoffs, but it really does feel like Josh is extremely driven to take advantage of this opportunity because he has been so close at times. I don't think there's ever going to be a better chance to get to the Super Bowl than this.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason the chance to get there isn't better is, like we laid the case out last week, is like you're going to have to go to Jacksonville, to Denver, and now either to New England or Houston.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's just gonna be really hard to do 3 straight road games. But can I tell you, before we do the next game, can I tell you who the Jags remind me of? A couple of years ago, the New York Knicks were like making a playoff run, and it was when Julius Randle was still on the Knicks. I don't know if you remember this, but Julius Randle got hurt. He was like out for the playoffs, and people were like, "Oh my God, Jalen Brunson! Like he's accomplishing all of this without Julius Randle." We did a very famous breakout video that got a lot of attention from New York where I was like, listen, I would be more impressed if he was accomplishing this with Julius Randle. You know how hard it is to accomplish all of this shit with Julius Randle on your team? That's what I think about the Jags and like Liam Cohen. I'm like, I'm more impressed that he accomplished all this with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, like everyone just like got an explosive case of amnesia and forgot the historically bad basketball that Julius Randle had played the previous postseason. Like,
it was literally like the postseason before was the one where they got eliminated by the Hawks in the first round, and Julius Randle had like one of the worst series of all time.
Yeah.
Credit to Julius Randle, though, before we move on, is that he was good for the Wolves in the playoffs last year.
He was, yeah.
To an extent. So I'll give him some credit there. But yeah, I just thought that was funny because people are like, wow, like Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence accomplished so much. And I'm like, no, Liam Cohen accomplished this in spite of Trevor Lawrence. Like,
yeah,
it is not a both. Game 2, the San Francisco 49ers go to the Seattle Seahawks, 8 p.m. on Saturday. Seattle favored by 7.5 in the divisional round. I alluded to it earlier that there was one game I was not super excited to watch. This is it. I am not happy that San Francisco is here. I am not. And like we talked about how we were going to pick against them all year. Mm-hmm. The time finally came, and I feel like we should have talked more about the fact that everybody on the Eagles hates each other.
Yeah.
The players hate the coaches hate the players hate the players, the fans hate the players.
Yeah.
Like the fans booed in all 4 quarters in Philly.
And on top of that, and we did mention this, I believe, the team that they were playing really hates them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Well, like it was like a home field disadvantage
yeah.
on Sunday. It was worse for the
The
Philadelphia
fans
Eagles
hate the
because they were
players. The
playing at
fans
home.
hate the coaches. Like,
Everybody just fucking hates everybody, and it was a miserable. The one thing we were right about is we were like, this game is going to be an absolutely miserable experience for 3 hours on
yeah.
Sunday, and it was not fun. AJ Brown, I'm going to call it right now. I'm calling my shot. AJ Brown's a Patriot next year. He cannot be on the Eagles
No.
next season after screaming at the coaches multiple times on the sideline and then dropping the biggest pass of the game and the fans booing him. And then they did like the post-game interviews and he just like said goodbye to like certain teammates, but not other ones, namely Jalen Hurts, and like just left.
Yeah.
Rough look. So he can't be on the Eagles. I can only imagine, like with how his attitude has been all season, that it's going to have to be like Vrabel's going to like vouch for him and be like, bring him in. I can handle him. The other thing from that game, I think Kyle Shanahan should be coach of the year. Like to accomplish, to be here with this team with all of these injuries, and now Kittle has a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
Like hats off to Kyle. I know you hate him, but like I can't believe they hung on Sunday. I can't, like, except for, if it wasn't for the fact that the fans in Philly hate this goddamn team more than anybody else in the world, including me, I think that the Eagles would have won that game.
Christian McCaffrey also just continues to be amazing when he's able to be on the field. You know, like,
well, that's the thing that we talked about this year too, is like, it doesn't matter who gets hurt if Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey are both healthy.
Yeah.
And one thing that happened between when we recorded and when the game took place, and we have another game like this week, so I'm going to put a disclaimer on a different game, but Trent Williams and Lane Johnson, the tackle for the Eagles, were both questionable going into that game, and Trent Williams played and Lane Johnson did not. And that, I think if we would have known that ahead of time, I probably still would have picked against San Francisco, but maybe I would have thought twice. So I want to say San Francisco going into Seattle, okay, cool, you guys want a playoff game. Now is the time that we get rid of San Francisco. However, how long can we trust one Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
In these playoffs? You know, like on DraftKings, they have like the DraftKings casino. You ever seen that little game? It's like a rocket ship. So you bet before the rocket ship takes off, and then the rocket ship takes off, and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And the longer it goes, the more you multiply your money, whatever you bet, you know? So say you like bet $1 and it's like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And then the rocket ship explodes. And you know, the rocket ship's going to explode at some point. You just don't know what point it is. So you can get off the rocket ship at any time before it explodes, and you get to keep your winnings basically. But the rocket ship could go to 150 times your bet before it explodes. It can explode immediately as soon as the game starts. Like, it just takes off and goes, poof, money gone. That is Sam Darnold. We know definitively this rocket ship is going to explode. But the question is when? Is it going to be this weekend? Is it not going to be this weekend? How long do we trust Sam Darnold in these playoffs?
And I think there's another important question with regards to that team. Will it matter in this particular game? Because you talk about no George Kittle. Man, like, Mike McDonald's got to be salivating with the defense he has over there. Like, it's just, Christian McCaffrey is the only weapon they got left. Like,
you would think that there has to be a critical mass at some point with the 49ers where, like, it's just, even if it's not Trent Williams and CMC, it's just going to be too much at some point. But I wrote down the same thing. We just watched this game to end the season. And it wasn't like, it was important because whoever won the game on Saturday night won the division. It was going to be
Yeah.
the number one overall seed. The Seahawks won 13-3, and Sam Darnold didn't have to do anything. Essentially, he was 20 of 26 for 198 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. I think the fact that like they know Sam Darnold doesn't have to do anything to win this game plays to their benefit, because I don't see them putting Sam Darnold in a position where he's going to implode.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going to run the ball, you're going to play defense. He'll make a couple throws, but like nothing crazy. You know, he doesn't have to. It wasn't like and I got to give Sam Darnold credit for that one Rams game they won on Thursday Night Football, the 38-37 game. But it's not going to be like that where you're like, Sam, we need you to go win this game for us. I don't think, especially with like Kittle being hurt, and like, I think it's too tall of a task to say like, okay, Brock Purdy, Trent Williams, and Christian McCaffrey, go figure out what has been the best defense in the league for this entire season. By, DVOA and EPA per play and all of those fun metrics.
Yeah. And by the way, the 49ers defense still has to deal with JSN. Yeah.
I will say, like, if I was a 49ers fan and I was trying to make the case for like how we win this game, the one case you have is that like Sam Darnold can implode.
Yeah.
It could happen. That rocket ship could blow up immediately after the start line. He could get sacked 8 times and throw 4 interceptions, and San Francisco wins this one, like 17-0 or something like that. And we're all just like, yeah. I'm not gonna pick that to happen though. I'm going Seattle. I thought this was, I told you before we started recording, I was like, we may have 2 or 3 games different this week. This was the one where I was like, no way. No, I don't think anybody's picking San Francisco.
Yeah, I gotta stick to my guns here. I didn't think San Francisco would make it this far. I believe in this defense that Seattle has. I believe in just about everything that Seattle has going on except for Sam Darnold. So, like, I think they can get one game.
Just do nothing. Do nothing, Sam. It'll
literally
okay.
Just put him in the corner.
Have you heard about this power station or this power plant substation thing with the San Francisco 49ers?
No.
This is awesome. So, like, while we have a minute, because there wasn't a ton to say on this game, a self-proclaimed researcher and EMF consultant, I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to like promote him on the podcast, but he works for this company. He's like the founder of this company called Sunlight is Life or something like that. He has this tweet about this electrical substation that's located near the 49ers practice facility, saying that it is emitting low frequency electromagnetic fields that allegedly over time contribute to soft tissue injuries. And it apparently what it does is it degrades collagen and weakens tissues and tendons if you're exposed to it for long periods of time. And they looked at so this guy went out and he did this some kind of research where he measured the amount of some kind of particle in the air. And they're like, the normal amount of this particle in the air is this much, but near the 49ers practice facility, it's 8 times what it's supposed to be. And they were looking at it and they're like, well, since the 49ers moved into Levi Stadium and started practicing there, they have more soft tissue and tendon injuries than any other team in the NFL. So there may actually be something to this wackadoo who's going out there and being like, it's the power plant, it's doing it. But Kittle tears his Achilles now. They've had so many just MCLs and ACLs and tendons and sprains and hamstrings and just so many things, especially this season, that it's hard to believe that there's not something going on more than bad luck. Why are they so disproportionately injured compared to every other team in the NFL? It's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely within their interest to figure out if there is a environmental factor. So
they gotta move that. They gotta move that substation, I think, is what has to happen. Game 3, we are going on to Sunday. The Houston Texans at the New England Patriots, the 3 p.m. Sunday game. I kind of surprised. Patriots favored by 3. Seems like a lot. Just want to say thank God we got the early game on Sunday. So obviously I did not anticipate when I bought the tickets to this that my team was going to be playing a playoff game on Sunday. But I'm going to a concert with my wife on Sunday night. So I'm going to miss the majority of the Sunday night game. I'll have to catch up on it on Monday, go back and watch the all 22 and all that stuff. But there was a brief period of time where I was like, oh shit, we're going to play the winner of Steelers Houston. And there's a chance it could be Sunday night at 6 p.m. And I'm supposed to go to this concert and I don't know what I'm going to do here. But thankfully we avoided that situation because we play 3 p.m. There is a football god.
Spared. How are you feeling about the matchup?
So I have a lot to say. This is a matchup that I have been worried about for months. I've talked about it repeatedly on this podcast. I think the Houston Texans defense is the worst possible matchup for the Patriots offense. Right? We just saw on Sunday against the Chargers that the offensive line, while it is much improved from where it was last season, is still a major issue, right? Will Campbell's been great this season. He's still a rookie playing in his first playoffs and going up against what's his name? Owe, the edge that they traded for from the Ravens earlier this season during the trade deadline. He was just wreaking havoc on Sunday. He had 3 sacks and a forced fumble. And he I'm not trying to be a dick here, but he's not Will Anderson, who we're going to see. He's not
not even Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, he's not even Danielle Hunter. And so this is just a whole nother level of fuck. I really don't want to go up against these guys because, all you had to do was watch the Monday Night Football game. This defense has just been on demon mode where they are. It's fun. I was watching this video about how they don't even really run complicated concepts defensively because they're we're just going to line up and beat the shit out of you.
Football gets real simple on defense when you can have 2 high-end pass rushers and then everybody else that's not lined up on the line of scrimmage can cover all day long.
Yeah. I hate to bring this up, but it has big Patriots versus Giant vibes here where it's God, they're going to rush 4 and they're going to just cause havoc with their front 4. And Drake is going to be under siege all game. He's going to be throwing against 7 people drop back. And they always said with Tom Brady is it's the easiest way for, they're oh, that's Tom Brady's weakness. I'm that's every quarterback's weakness. Just if they could just get pressure with 4 the entire game, you're fucked. Yeah. You're just fucked. It doesn't matter who you are. The greatest player of all time, they're that's how you beat him. That's how you beat literally everybody. And that's what the Texans have done to great quarterbacks this season. You brought up the Bills Texans game where it's just Josh Allen was under fire that entire game. It was not easy. I also thought it was pretty apparent Sunday. So the Chargers were the best defense the Patriots have played this season. I will say the Patriots, I thought, left a lot of meat on the bone in that game. We could have scored a lot more, but we didn't. One thing that was really, I guess the 2 things that were apparent is that the offensive line is still an issue, which I've known. The other thing that I've known and I've talked about on this podcast is we do not have the true number 1 receiver that we kind of need in these type of games where everything the Patriots do is schemed open by Josh McDaniels and thrown open by Drake May because he's just that damn good. We need a guy who can win out there. against like the Derek Stingleys of the world. And against like even in the Chargers game, I was like, God damn, if we just had like that one guy that could help us like, make some plays out there, it would really help. So I would say I'm very nervous. You have anything you want to contribute to that before I flip the table here?
No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Okay. All that said, I am fucking sick and tired of all of the hand-wringing and pretending like the New England Patriots are not a great fucking football team. We have won 15 games this season. You know who else has 15 wins right now, Matt?
No one.
No one. Because the Seattle and Denver have not played yet. But like you don't win 15 games by accident, right? You don't like, it's not just strength of schedule. I know the schedule wasn't that hard this season, but they took care of business. They dominated everyone this year. And then we go into this Chargers game and all of these media people are like, well, this is the first good team that the Patriots are going to play. Let's see if they can do it. And everybody's picking against the Pats and they're like, Herbert's going to cook them and they're not going to be able to do anything against this defense. We made Justin Herbert look like a little bitch for 3 hours on Sunday. And I defy anyone to tell me why we are not about to do that to CJ Stroud. Who's better, Matt, Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud?
I'll take Herbert.
Yeah. I would too. I like watching that Monday Night Football game. Yeah, Houston's defense is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I am not excited about that. You know what's not terrifying, Matt? Houston's offense.
Yeah.
Like Houston's offense sucks. They had 7 points through 3 quarters. And the only reason that game got out of hand is because Aaron Rodgers actually had to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And we saw what happened when Aaron Rodgers couldn't just do like a 2-step drop and flick it. So
Woody Marks had a good day on the ground. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is like a first all season for them. So
yeah, I know. Well, like Woody Marks has been good for them. He just has been hurt.
Yeah, well,
every single game he's played.
As a unit, though, like Houston has not been able to consistently run the ball all season long.
Yeah, but like there are 2 sides to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I want to remind everybody of that. Why can we not go out there on Sunday and play the same game we just played against the Chargers, where it's like, yeah, we might not do a ton on offense. We might only score 14, 17, 20 points. Are the Texans going to score 20 points on us, Matt? I don't know. If they don't get a defensive touchdown, I don't know if they can. Honestly, Nico Collins is probably not going to play.
Yeah.
And this was the game I was alluding to earlier. Nico Collins, the best wide receiver for the Texans, and Christian Gonzalez, the best corner for the Patriots, both left the game with concussions over this weekend. They're both in concussion protocol. They're both questionable. If one of them plays and not the other, that may greatly flip things. Like if Nico Collins plays and we don't have Christian Gonzalez to guard him, that's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah.
If Christian Gonzalez plays and Nico Collins doesn't, and we get to deploy Christian Gonzalez on Higgins or whoever, that's going to be a massive issue for the Texans. If they both play, okay, let's go. It's one of the best corners in the league versus one of the best receivers in the league. I don't trust CJ Stroud. We have a top 5 quarterback. Drake, it's time. It's time for everyone to just admit that Drake May is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. And honestly, I would rather have him this season than Patrick Mahomes. I'd rather have him right now than Lamar Jackson. I'd rather have him than Joe Burrow in this game. Drake May is really fucking good. You know who else is really fucking good? Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. We have better coaches. We have a better quarterback. We also have an awesome, scary defense. You think we're not just going to blitz the shit out of CJ Stroud for 3 hours like we just did to Justin Herbert? Let's see how he handles that pressure. He just fumbled 4 times and threw an interception against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
why is CJ Stroud not going to throw this game away?
Fact that he is struggling to catch snaps should be incredibly concerning.
Yeah, but this is the thing though, is people are like, oh, the Chargers, this is gonna be the first good team the Patriots play on Sunday. The Patriots can't beat a good team. Fucking smoke the Chargers. That game was never in doubt, not for a second. And like I said, we left meat on the bone. That game easily could have been 31-3. And I'm sure the Chargers will say, oh, well, we had missed opportunities too. Cool. Could have been 31-10. Great. 31-17. We would have still beat the shit out of you guys. And I'll say this to the Texans fans too. The Chargers fans wanted New England. They got New England. You want New England? You fucking got it. Drake May and the Patriots are going to win this game on Sunday, Matt. We're winning this fucking game. I don't care how scary the Texans defense is. I don't care.
Adam, I don't know why you're talking about Chargers fans. We've already made it very clear that they don't exist.
It's a straw man argument. There are no fans. There's just bots on Reddit who populate the Chargers subreddit. But no, and I mean, like, obviously this is my super biased opinion. And I'm just not going to pick against my team in the playoffs. That's not fun.
No.
Right. Objectively, yes, I've been scared about this matchup for months because the defense is absolute demon mode in Houston. And part of me is like, win or lose, can we please just get everybody out healthy so that we can have a good season next season as well? Like, please just protect Drake. I see no reason we can't win this game. I think it's fair that we're favored.
Yeah.
You're asking Houston, an indoor dome team from Texas, to come to New England and play this game. And we just saw that, like, through 3 quarters, it was 7-6 against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell Texans fans this, Aaron Rodgers is not Drake May.
No.
This is a world of difference in the quarterback you are playing. And I hate that people were like, oh, the Chargers are a good team. You guys can't beat good teams. And then we smoke them. And people are like, oh, well, the Chargers suck. They're missing all their O linemen, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, like, literally 3 hours ago, you were telling me the Chargers were going to beat us. So I just want everyone to keep the same energy when we beat the Texans this weekend and not come back and be like, oh, well, the Texans actually suck because they have CJ Stroud. You guys actually can't beat the Bills in the playoffs. Keep the same fucking energy. We're winning this game.
Yeah. I mean, I
wouldn't blame you.
I never considered the Chargers beating you guys. This is a very different situation. I mean, going out there and dealing with that defense is like being hunted by a pack of hyenas. Like, individually, any one of them can wreck your life, and you have to deal with all 11 of them. You already talked about Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Jalen Petry's been out of his goddamn mind this year.
Yeah, my guy.
Yeah, Stingley.
NFL draft, my guy, Jalen Petry.
Top 2 to 3 corner in the league, depending on your personal preferences. But like, all across that defense, there's guys that can cover for like 4 to 5 seconds. But they don't need to cover for 4 to 5 seconds because they have Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And the other side of the ball, there is a valid argument, right? Like, that offense has not been good all year. And CJ Stroud hasn't really shown anything of late to say that he is rounding into the form that he was in his rookie year when people were all about him. So when I have to make this pick here, it comes down to, okay, like, who are the guys that can make the plays that will determine the outcome of the game, right? Obviously, anyone on that defensive unit for Houston can absolutely be that person. Drake May has obviously shown that he can be that person. The concussion situation for those 2 players really is a linchpin, because it would be a lot easier for me to say Houston if Nico Collins was playing, regardless of Christian Gonzalez was playing. No disrespect to him, but it only takes one play. And even the best will give up a big play to the best. That's why those guys are the best. Assuming that Nico Collins doesn't play, I have to go with the better quarterback. I'm not calling Drake May a top 5 quarterback, although he has played top 5 this year.
If he's awesome in this game, can we officially move him into your top 5? He has to.
I mean, he's not going to jump Stafford for me unless Stafford like really shits the bed. So then we have to talk about who's moving out.
Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes, all of them. Fuck them all. He's the number 1 quarterback in the league. Yeah. Are we just at, like, we might just be, we'll see in this game, we might just be at the point where it's like, sometimes you just have Drake May.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, this game is gonna be messy and ugly and shitty, and someone's gonna have to make a play at some point, and I do think it's going to happen when Drake May is on the field. I just don't know if it's going to be Drake May or the defense. Is it going to be? So,
which team is it going to be? But like, so I like agree with that, but at the same time, I think it's going to be low scoring.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I kind of, I know I was getting my homer hat on there, but like, if the Patriots are going to win this game, it has to be 17-13.
Yeah.
You know, the defense does have to show out. I think they use a very similar approach to what they just did to the Chargers, where they're like, yeah, have fun. We're going to send 5 after you, and 2 of those 5 are Milton Williams and Christian Barmore coming right up your gut, basically. And that's what happened to Herbert, is that Milton Williams was a fucking monster.
Well, and I
granted, against worse offensive linemen, but
I feel like you guys are probably not going to allow them to get the run game going either.
Well, knock on wood, we've been very good against the run this season. So I think like if you're in a low scoring game like that, though, I agree with you. It's like, God, the most interesting matchup in this game is Drake May versus that Texans defense. Like, how do they handle that? What do they scheme up with Josh McDaniels? But like usually when we're like, oh, it's like strength on strength, and whoever wins that strength is going to win the game. It's usually like the weakness on weakness that kind of decides the game.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go back to that Bills-Jags game we were just talking about. Is like, it was strength on strength, and the Jags won strength on strength. But the problem was the Bills were able to throw for 280 yards on their weakness. So, like, the Texans could absolutely annihilate Drake, sack him like 7 times, and it could be a disaster. And then CJ Stroud throws a pick 6, and all of a sudden the Patriots win anyways.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, or the best way for us to get points is like, can we get short fields and kick some field goals and maybe get like a cheap touchdown and stuff. So we'll see. But thank you for picking the Pats for my sake.
But I mean, D'Amico Ryans also is a really good coach, you know?
Yep.
So it'll be interesting, but like, I think both him and Vrabel know, like, this is going to be an ugly game, and they're planning on it.
I think they're both happy to play an ugly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, like if it was like if it was like a pretty game, I feel like that favors the Patriots, but I feel like Vrabel is just like, oh, like, yes, come here, play an ugly game. Let's like, that's Vrabel. It's right up Vrabel's alley, man. He'll be excited.
Oh, yeah. This isn't Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. So, oh man, we're 3 for 3. We are 3 for 3 so far. I did not see that coming. Last game, the one that I'm going to miss a lot of, have to catch up on Monday. Rams at Bears, Sunday at 6:30. The Rams favored by 4. I have a question for you. So coming into last week, there was a lot of talk, and you had said this on the podcast too, but there was a lot of talk about the Rams being the best team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Everybody was like, they're the best team. They're the most complete. They got the most things going for them. It's something that, like, even, you know, I had talked about it too earlier this year on the podcast. What have the Rams done recently to make them the best team in the NFL? Because
I mean, really, their 2 biggest blunders are both against the Panthers.
But this is the thing. So watching
did the Panthers just have their number?
Possible, like that's a distinct possibility,
The
but
Panthers have scored 31 points twice this year, and they're both against the Rams. That is their season high.
good God, is that true?
Yes.
That's pretty bad. But like watching them Sunday or Saturday did not engender confidence.
Yeah.
34-31 win over the Panthers at
Totally
Carolina.
agree.
They beat the Cardinals. I'm just going backwards in their schedule. They beat the Cardinals 37-20, whoop-de-doo. They lost to the Falcons.
Yeah.
Kind of got dominated by the Falcons. They lost a Thursday night game to the Seahawks, where granted they scored 37 against that Seahawks defense we were talking about, but they also gave up 38 to Sam Darnold in a big spot.
Yeah.
Questionable. They beat the Lions 41-34. No offense to your team, but like that win's not as impressive in retrospect.
Yeah.
Now, they beat the Cardinals 45-17. Whoop-de-doo again. They lost to the Panthers, which we talked about. They beat the Bucks, which isn't as impressive in retrospect. They beat the Seahawks by 2 in a game where Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions to the Rams. I don't know, man. I go back and I'm like, we've just kind of had this conception.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of the season, we've and both of us, we just had the Rams number 1 in our power rankings. We're just like, listen, like every time we talk about the Rams, they're coming off of a loss for some reason. And we're still like, no, they're still the best team in the league. But I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, are they? Are they the best team remaining? Because like, I'm sure there's a lot of things we can point to. The passing attack is great, but like you just gave up 31 to the Panthers again.
Yeah. I mean, they need to prove the things that we like saw about them earlier in the season that made us believe that are still there. Because really, it's been like past 6 weeks or so where they've kind of
I went back pretty far there, but I think it was like that Lions win was like when the Lions were still, you know, we still thought the Lions were going to be the Lions, and we were like, damn, like they really just like took it to the Lions. That's pretty good. But
so I mean, like, personal side for me, like having watched some of these playoff games, I'm like, man, losing both of those games to Minnesota really kind of fucking hurts now, because all of these teams feel beatable, even by that team that like is not up to par.
Yeah, every team that's remaining is significantly flawed.
Yeah, like,
you know,
this is the oddest playoff run that I can remember, because there's not a team that I feel confident in at all.
Yeah, I feel like the Super Bowl is going to be like Texans Bears, and we're all just going to be like, that was the weirdest year ever. Like, let's just move on. It doesn't even count. But like, I just really feel like the Rams defense can get got, basically, especially after, like, you know, we kind of laid out the case prior to the Rams-Panthers game, where it was like, okay, the first Rams-Panthers game, literally everything went wrong. Stafford threw a pick six and blah, blah, and that's how the Panthers hung in there. Nothing went wrong offensively for the Rams, really, on Sunday, and yet the Panthers still hung 31 on them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Chris Shula has to kind of, you know, get that stink off him, because, I mean, he was getting all of the praise the first half of the season, even like for a while after that. And then, like I said, the past like 6 to 7 weeks, it's not been the same. I mean, I can't think of anyone like personnel wise that they've lost that would make that make sense. But yeah, I mean, it's the defense definitely gives pause at this point. Relative
but I can make that
to the teams that they have to go through, though, it's, I don't know if it's my highest concern. So
no, but I can like make that whole case for like, I'm like worried about the Rams defense, but then also the team that they're playing just gave up 323 yards and 4 touchdowns to Jordan Love.
Yeah.
not great. So I feel like there's like two big factors, and like my biggest thing in this game. So the Bears, we talked about them kind of having the horseshoe up their ass this entire season.
Yeah.
I think it showed again on Saturday that like Brandon McManus misses 2 kicks that if he makes those 2, we're going to overtime.
Yeah.
They have some other kind of breaks in there. We have Caleb Williams throwing possibly the greatest pass I've ever seen in my entire life. Just like the play in its entirety of he's in the air, falling backwards, soon to be on his butt, and whips it downfield into triple coverage, only where Rome Odunze can catch it.
Yeah.
Like Caleb Williams just doing Caleb Williams shit.
Yeah.
Also, like, I guess a quick aside. Do you think, does completion percentage matter anymore? Caleb Williams completed 50% of his passes for 361 yards.
Well,
I don't know if it matters.
They were playing a team that was on a 4-game losing streak. So,
yeah. I'm just saying, like we were talking about Caleb, but we're just like, God, this guy doesn't really complete a high percentage of his passes. And like, it might not matter if every pass you throw is for 50 yards, because you can complete 1/3 of them and you still gained 50 yards. But for me in this game, the Bears lost the turnover battle on Saturday 2-0, I think for the first time this entire season, because they forced the most turnovers of any team this year and had the least turnovers of any team. So they've had the best turnover margin by far. They lose the turnover battle and still win that game.
Yeah.
The Panthers or the Rams won the turnover battle in their game and still barely won. And I feel like if Matt Stafford would have turned the ball over at any point against the Panthers on Sunday, that the Rams probably lose.
Yeah.
So my number one thing is, can Matt Stafford prevent turnovers again? And it's been something he's been really good at this season. Mm-hmm. He only had 11 this season. But I look at this and I'm like, God, Caleb Williams will probably throw one to the Rams defense, right? But I also just feel like no matter what the score is, the Bears are going to find a way to make this close. And I'm like, Matt Stafford's got to play clean football to win this game, because like if you play clean football against the Bears defense, you can move the ball and score a lot of points on them. But they are also the most opportunistic defense in the league this season. So you kind of have to keep it clean in order to beat them.
Yeah. I mean, also, when they haven't gotten those turnovers, they've given up tons of yards, tons of points. So,
well, that's what we just saw on Saturday. I keep getting the days mixed up. But like, I said that we picked the Packers last week because I was like, I think if Jordan Love can go in there and like not turn the ball over, then the Packers can win this game. And for the vast majority of that game, it looked like that was exactly what was going to happen. And then just, man, like, I haven't talked to my brother-in-law since that game. I'm going to see him this weekend. I don't think he's ready to talk about it. That sucked. That sucked for the Packers.
I, for one, am quite happy that they are looking to extend before.
Ha 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 ha. Na. Yeah, like, that was also confusing, is that there's a lot of people talking about, oh, they might potentially get rid of LaFleur, and then like the very next day it's like they're talking about a contract extension. Yeah. Great. So the other factor I feel like is really not as big of a deal as people are going to make it out to be, but just something to keep an eye on, is the weather. So it's going to be about 8 degrees and there's a 55% chance of precipitation. We know Stafford can handle whatever nature throws at him. The rest of the LA Rams, though, kind of want to see. I think they went to Philly in the playoffs last year, and handled it pretty well. I remember that game being pretty cold and snowy. Mm-hmm. Granted, it was a 28-22 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, but it just, anytime you have like a warm weather dome team, the same case I made for Houston going to New England. You have this warm weather team that plays in a dome going to somewhere where it's going to be cold and windy and miserable. Just something to keep an eye on. Not so much for Stafford as much as like other members of the Rams. I I don't know, man. I feel like there's just going to be a lot of points in this game. I feel like both defenses are gettable, and it's really just going to come down to like, can Matt Stafford and the LA Rams prevent turnovers or not? If they turn the ball over, I think the Bears win. If they keep it clean, I think the Rams will take it.
Yeah, I feel like the Rams are probably going to try and really get the run game going too. That's another area on defense that Bears have really not been very good at this year. You're right. Like, this game probably is going to be close, just because that's how the Bears have been all year.
It's just Bears football, baby.
Right. But at the end of the day, in a situation like that with these two quarterbacks out on the field, which one am I going to take to pull it off? It's going to be the one that's done it for the better over a decade now, right? Like, probably over 15 years. I don't know how many years it is now, but it's been a minute.
Yep. Yeah, this is the part of the podcast I'm going to regret the most when I wake up on Monday morning. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears to win this game. I don't really know why. It might just be like the horseshoe up the ass thing where I'm just like, God, they've just been so lucky all season. They keep getting breaks, but like, I was impressed with Caleb against the Packers the other day. And I know like this is a bit of a different beast.
Yeah.
Especially with like the front seven being healthier and Jared Verse and all those guys. But like the reason I led this segment off with like something is off with the LA Rams over the course of the last 6 weeks is I'm like, the LA Rams have like this weird vibe right now. The vibes in Chicago are immaculate. Like watching that video where Ben Johnson walked into the locker room after the game and just goes, "Fuck the Packers, fuck them." And everybody's like cheering. I'm just like, oh my God, like these guys love Ben Johnson so much. It's just one of those things where like the city and this team, it's going to be Sunday Night Football in Chicago. It's cold, it's snowy, it's like classic Chicago, which probably all means that they're just going to get their fucking hearts ripped out because that's Chicago Bears football.
Yeah. Carlos isn't allowed to be happy.
Yeah. But I'm going to go Chicago Bears 54 to -13. Go Bears. God, I feel like anytime I've like never picked the Bears on this podcast because we've never really had a Bears playoff game to talk about. Except for I think like do we have this podcast during the double doink? Remember how I feel like we didn't. I feel like that was the year we started the podcast, but we started it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the first time I'm picking the Bears. But anytime I talk about the Bears in a positive manner at all, I just instantly go to Chicago Bear super fan. Who would win a race between a Hurricane and Mike Ditka? Now hold on. The Hurricane's name is Ditka. Oh. Da Bears. I feel like I'm going to regret it, but it's just like a gut feeling for me. Something is weird with the Rams, and this is the game where it bites them.
I will give it to you that, yes, like something is off specifically with the defense for the Rams, right? And if there was ever a year that they can get away with it, it's this year.
Yeah. I will say for the Rams, and like maybe this is a point more in favor of the Rams, is like, I'm like, if you win this game, you're going to the Super Bowl because I'm not picking Sam Darnold to beat the Rams.
Yeah.
I'm not next week if that ends up being the matchup. But I take it you're going Rams?
I am going Rams.
Okay. That was the one. So I knew we were going to have that one different. And then the two AFC games, I thought you were going to pick the Texans, and then I was unsure on Bills Broncos. So that's why I was like, we're going to have two or three different. We only have one. different.
Yeah.
We went 4-2 last week. Hopefully we do better.
That Pats Texan ones is really close for me, but like I said, I just came into this not knowing what I was going to go with for either of those AFC games, but yeah, how flawed these teams are definitely makes it harder for me to pick because they all
Yeah.
none of them make me feel good about them.
I think that was the hard thing about last week. And then the hard thing about this week, too, is it's just like they're so flawed. And you can easily, I mean, I guess really, except for the 49ers Seahawks, except for the fact that Sam Darnold imploding, those other three games, I think you can easily make the case for either team to win. And there's like a billion different outcomes, and we're just trying to pick the one we feel like is going to happen. But it's going to be a good weekend of football. I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun no matter what happens. Depending on how the Patriots and Texans game goes, I might need to take a break and go to a concert. So I'm glad that I have that lined up for myself. But for now, and I have Monday off work to recover. So, but for now, that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can hit us up on Gmail, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. You can watch us on YouTube. That's the one I missed. Videos are back on YouTube starting with last week, and we got a bunch of views on the last one. So really appreciate you guys' support. We'll start getting shorts up again on YouTube. Just had a lot going on, coming back to work after being on break, and then with the new year and all that, but we'll start getting some shorts up too. But however you guys support the pod, listening, watching, emailing, whatever you do, really appreciate you guys. Really like makes the whole thing worth doing is that I get to hang out with Matt for an hour or so every week, and then you guys' support is appreciated. All right, NBA take of the week. I have a hot one I need to get off my chest. So I'm gonna go first. Mine is fuck the Hawks. I fucking hate the Hawks. Matt and I recorded last week. We did the wild card preview, and we got to NBA take of the week at the end. And I did this whole take. It was like a 15-minute segment about Trae Young's trade value. And I was like, God, we really need to study what happened to Trae Young, because he went from being the hero of the Hawks and like leading them to an Eastern Conference Finals to like now he's going to get traded probably to the Wizards for nothing. And I did this whole Trae Young segment. And then like not 30 minutes after we hung up on the call, the freaking thing goes off. Trae Young has been traded to the Washington Wizards for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum. And I was like, quite literally just finished talking about that. And I felt like it was like so good and so well thought out and such a good segment. And I just ended up deleting it from the pod last week because I was like, just doesn't make any fucking sense. So for anybody wondering why there was no NBA take of the week last week, that was why, because I was like, this doesn't make any sense now because they just pulled the trigger on it. They couldn't have waited if they would have waited 48 hours and you all would have listened to my case about why Trae Young getting traded to the Wizards. I called it. I literally called. I was like, he's going to get traded to the Wizards. They're going to get nothing back for him except for like salary cap relief, and everybody's going to be stunned. And that's where we are. But I just think it's funny the amount of people who like cannot wrap their head around the fact that players like Trae Young and Ja Morant have negative trade value at this point, where and we just saw with Trae is like they literally traded him for CJ McCollum's expiring and Corey Kispert's expiring. And Corey Kispert's young, maybe they extend him, but they're literally like, hey, we just want to free up money. And now they're going to look at using those expirings and flipping them for like Anthony Davis or something like that, which will be hilarious. But like Ja Morant too, I was just listening to Brian Windhorst. Maybe it was Brian Windhorst on Zach Lowe's podcast. It was Zach Lowe's podcast where they were talking about Ja Morant's trade value. And Zach Lowe's like, yeah, seeing a lot of trades out there that are like Ja Morant to the Heat for like Tyler Hero 2 first, Nikola Jovic and like Khalil Ware or something like that. And he's like, I really think the fans don't understand that if Ja Morant goes to the Heat, it's probably going to be Ja Morant and picks for Tyler Hero or like something along those lines. It is not, there will be no picks coming back to Memphis for Ja Morant in any deal. There will be no young assets coming back. Like he was basically saying, I think Windhorst was the guest. They were basically agreeing like Memphis will be lucky to get Tyler Hero back in that trade. And so I think a lot of us need to wrap our head around like trade value, in 2026, and that like a lot of guys like John Morant, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, like these guys have zero value. Now, they will be traded for expirings, and that'll pretty much be it. So I want everybody to mentally prepare, because like I feel like the Mavs will get a little bit more back for Davis. But I want everybody to mentally prepare for the fact that Memphis is probably either going to get nothing or have to give up assets to get off of John Morant. And like, that is how far these guys have fallen in NBA circles.
Yeah. I mean, talk about torpedoing your own value in the league. Like,
yeah. But that's my take. My take is fuck the Hawks, because if you would have waited 48 hours to make that trade, it would have been like one of the best segments in podcast history for me to call it. Because I called it 30 minutes before it happens, but you can't put the podcast out after that and be like, I called it. And people are going to be like, no. Because peek behind the curtain, we record at night. I put the podcast out the next day around noon. So it can't come out 12 hours later, 12 hours after the trade, and have me being like, I think Trae Young's going to get traded to the Wizards for nothing after it already happened. But what do you got, Matt? Fucking Hawks. All Atlanta teams are banned from this podcast. I hate them all.
Similar topic. If you're trading for a star, trading for anything less than a top 10 player simply isn't worth it. Once you start getting into the realm of the guys that aren't truly going to carry a team very deep in the playoffs, it starts to get real messy when you start looking at what it'll take to get that guy. What got me thinking about this was people just throwing out mock trades for like Jaren Jackson Jr. Right? Sounds like once Ja is moved, they're probably just gonna try to burn it all down. Well, Jaren Jackson Jr. is gonna be, I want to say, next year start making like 50 plus million a year. And look, he's a very good player, great defender. He's got a solid amount that he offers on offense. Adam, is he taking a team over the top?
By himself? No.
Even as the number 2, let's say?
No.
Yeah. So,
the number 2.
The problem with trading for someone like that is they're taking up a ton of cap room, right? They're probably pushing you closer to that second apron. And you have to give up picks. You've got to give up like players for salary filler, right? And amongst that, they probably want young developing players back as well, right? So really, what you're doing is, yes, you are probably strengthening the top of your roster, but, say he plays 34 minutes a game. Well, you still need another 14 minutes a game when he's not on the floor, where you have a quality role player that can come in and actually play good basketball. And this is a sport where we talk about the stars and their championships, but man, honestly, over recent years, it's been real hard to win a championship if you don't have the role players to fill those minutes, especially in the modern NBA where a 20-point lead is nothing. I mean, Adam, in the last 5 years, how many 30-point leads have we seen blown?
A billion.
15 years ago would have been unthinkable, right? So, yeah, stars are great, but you need the role players to be able to stop the bleeding when the stars aren't on the court. Because you're probably not going to win a championship if you're blowing 20-point leads.
Yeah. I agree with that. I'll throw one at you. I'm trying to do it on the fly, so it's not perfect, but basically the trade is uh, Jaren Jackson Jr. to the LA Lakers for Austin Reeves, some salary filler, and whatever pick the Lakers can muster. It's like 2031 unprotected. So I think like Jaren Jackson Jr. can be a good piece. I think he'd be a good piece with Luka. Like, I think if you're going
Yeah.
to build your future around Luka, it's a nice guy to have. But then also, the reason I don't think it's going to happen is the Lakers are basically trying to clear the entire deck for, I think not this offseason, but the offseason after.
Yeah.
They basically like only want to have Luka under contract and then bring in their second star. So, but all right, my friend, big weekend. NFL football. There's also NBA and hockey and college football national championship is Monday.
Yeah.
Indiana and Miami, just like we all predicted. So enjoy all of the things. Matt and I will be back next week. Same fouled out place, same fouled out time with the conference championship preview. Holy cow. After this weekend, there's 3 football games left.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that my team is playing in them. But all right, my friend, I will see you soon.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Robin.
Bye, Mom.